Now available on Tata Sky channel number 526.
Welcome to Magic Bricks, now India's first property channel. You're watching The Urban Debate. I'm Faye D'Souza. Before we get to our big debate tonight, let's take a look at what's making headlines in the property sector.
I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted and the bill is passed.
Well, cheer for home buyers all across the country to the real estate regulatory bill passed in both the upper and the lower houses of Parliament. We now have a regulator. A Janagraha survey ranks Mumbai, the city with the best administrative system in the country. Pune, Delhi, Bangalore follow. However, Indian cities compare dismally to their global counterparts in ensuring quality of life. The question we're asking is your city working for you? 20 million square feet of residential supply could hit central Mumbai soon. The Maharashtra government is fast-tracking redevelopment of BDD Chawls in Lower Parel, Naigaon and Suri. Plans could be finalized next month. That's a Magic Bricks Now exclusive. Well, the High Court has stayed any new construction in the city of Mumbai. Now, remember, this is a campaign we had picked up right here on Magic Bricks Now when the dump yard in Deonar was on fire, spewing poisonous smoke that cloaked the entire city. We demanded that the government do something about it. Very little was really done, and the citizens of Chembur and Deonar moved to the High Court. The High Court then pronounced a judgment saying no new commercial, residential or hotels, even industrial property construction permits were to be issued in the city anymore until the local authorities and the BMC figured out a plan to solve the solid waste management problem. The ban comes into play because the government and the BMC failed to manage the garbage crisis. Now, industry says this ban on new construction is harsh and it will affect the industry very drastically. What effect will it have on home buyers, people who are dependent on the sector? On the Urban Debate today, we've roped in a panel of experts who will tell us what this new ban means to home buyers. Remember, it basically means that no new construction can come in the city of Mumbai until further notice. A city that is crunched for space and is crunched for homes. Here is my expert panel. Manisha Kayande is a Shiv Sena leader. Sandeep Ahuja, CEO of Richa Realtors, builds affordable housing in the city. Amit Goenka, Managing Director and CEO of Nisus Finance, is an investor. Pankaj Kapoor, Managing Director of Lysis Forest, is an analyst of the real estate industry. Ramesh Prabhu is the Chairman of the Housing Societies Association. And we'll also have Rais Sheikh, he's a corporator with the Samajwadi Party, on the phone line, who will join us on the show in a little while. We're also going to open up the phone lines for citizens. If you're watching at home and you want to join the conversation, this is as much affecting your life as it is anybody else's. Pick up the phone and call us. The big question, what impact will it have on people like you and me? Pankaj Kapoor, we know there's a glut on one end, but there's a shortage of supply of homes in this city within the bracket that we can afford to. Now, I must point out that the BMC has made it very clear that slum rehabilitation and redevelopment doesn't come under this rule. Slum rehabilitation and redevelopment will continue to receive its permissions. Any sort of other construction other than these two things will not receive permissions. What will this do to the supply?
Any such, curtailment of the supply always create a speculative market conditions. So if you look at today, we are into a phase where we see efficiency in the market coming is the prices are subdued, supply is pouring. Today we have highest ever supply in the market, and that pressure of the prices, supply is pushing the prices down. But what happens? These kind of they spoil the urban economics. We had in past also several such cases.
So in whose favor is this going? It's definitely not going in the favor of the home buyer.
It will only help the speculator in the market because it's not a permanent cessation.
So you're saying this decision goes against the home buyer's interest?
Actually, if I go back and count all these kind of order, who has really got a biggest beneficiary? So right now, if you look at way back, we had TDR corridor issues come in. For one and a half year, no development. Later on, it got removed. But during the time, the highest speculation on the property prices happened. We has the forest land issues. And even here, so if there is any sanction which is coming for permanent, then it's fine. But if you are putting
a temporary
into
sanction,
temporary
you're
sanctions,
just
it
plugging
is spoiled the
supply.
urban
You're
economics.
just plugging supply. Amit Goenka, as an investor yourself, and Pankaj is talking about the fact that this sort of a situation just benefits speculators. As an investor yourself, do you actually see a situation of lower supply in Mumbai as positive for someone like you?
Actually, it almost puts a hold on our own decision making as well, honestly, Kavita, because Faye, what is happening is that we were backing projects in Mumbai which had a certain degree of approvals, including, redevelopment projects which had, let's say, the MHADA NOC or had all statutory approvals and had now gone to the BMC to actually seek the IOD and CC. So not just redevelopment projects, but in fact, the entire city of Mumbai is under a cloud as far as construction is concerned, because while of course all new projects will be on a hold, but also the practical situation on the ground as we interact with a lot of developers is that if you have not applied for the IOD, if you're a redevelopment project, the chances are that they will not be very forthcoming with even giving IOD for new developments, even though it's a redevelopment project. So there are certain challenges in terms of timelines, in certain outcomes that will happen for these projects. And remember, a lot of money has already been poured into redevelopment.
No, Amit, just tell me this, okay? Just make it simple. Make it simple for my viewers. There are two types of people in the real estate market. There are investors who come in, speculate, so they buy a house, they flip it, they buy a house, they flip it, they cause the prices to go up. There's the end user who's actually looking, a customer who's looking for a home to live in. The investor's actions increase the prices for the customer. A decision like the one we're looking at right now, does it benefit the investor or does it benefit the customer?
I don't think it benefits either, because, for permanent long-term investors like us, we are not taking speculative bets at all.
Pankaj, you agree?
No, my own sense is like, if you look at my current building proposals, there are 80-85% are redevelopment. So I'm saying that if 80-85% of the proposal is going to go through, what you're going to achieve through the 15%, which are available on the lands. So my own sense, I really do not see much of the merits in this kind of a decision. One has to see the impact which is going to really have on the market.
Right. So Manisha, I want to bring you in here from the Shiv Sena, from the government right now. Obviously, this was a very, very bad thing that happened in the Deonar dump yard, to put it very simply.
Yes.
We needed the government to take notice and to do something. We've reached this point where the High Court had to step in and say, no more construction. It's almost like the court is passed an order treating us like children who have misbehaved, saying, no more construction until you can figure out a solution for this. It's a really unfortunate, embarrassing position for the government to be in right now.
Well, of course, it would seem so, as you described it. But let me tell you that Mumbai city, even your survey, one of the surveys showed, is offering the best services. But there is too much of pressure on Mumbai, taking into consideration the population, the daily changing dynamics. There is inflow. See, if you remember that in 2005, there was a directive that if you have to have construct a new building, okay, and hand it over the flats to the possessors, there should be a rainwater harvesting system.
Right.
So that started implementing. Now, of course, how much it is working, how much water is being collected and how much water is being harvested, that's a separate issue. But at least the things have come on. So I think, of course, regarding the garbage collection, it's a huge problem in Mumbai city because several roads are absolutely inaccessible. There is no segregation of waste. The BMC on its own tries to, tell people regarding segregation of waste. But
No,
still,
but,
the segregation, the collection,
Manisha,
and
the
this is
BMC
not,
has
obviously
not offered the High Court a convincing solution, which is why we're here. I mean, there are several things that can be said about what the BMC is doing to manage the city. But in this particular case, the High Court demanded a solution which it was not given, which means that the BMC has not found a solution for our garbage problem, and that's simply what's led us to this point.
Yeah, exactly. Let me tell you that the BMC has been trying to evolve solutions, not today, but even in the past. But the huge amount of solid waste that we produce, that is, there is a pressure on the system, and definitely, therefore, it doesn't work. But that doesn't mean that the BMC is not doing anything. We in the BMC are trying to find out solutions every day. It may be
one of the
generation
solutions
of power through it, or it may be segregation.
One of the solutions
but of course
we
the
know,
problem is humongous.
Manisha, one of the solutions we know is that there was a debate to offer property tax discounts to any building that achieves full garbage segregation or and fully composts all of its garbage. The confrontation or the objection to that suggestion was that the BMC will cut down its own revenue. Now, the BMC doesn't want to lose revenue. Is that a possibility? Can't it sacrifice the revenue a little bit, being the richest corporation in the country right now, in order to encourage more environment-friendly practices?
No, but I think so. See, these are different things. The revenue collected is not that much, that the BMC doesn't want to sacrifice over it. But what I feel is the segregation of waste.
36,000 crore rupees is a tremendous amount.
There is 51,000 crores of fixed deposit in the BMC, of which only the interest collected was 3,000 crores after TDS, and it is not being utilized.
Well, I
Ramesh
wouldn't
Prabhu,
like
do
to
you
go
agree?
into
Do you agree that this is not about revenue? Ramesh Prabhu, is this not about revenue?
Then there is enough revenue. There is a lot of property tax. Other things are covered. So I think revenue is not a problem. It is biggest. Even the budget is more than any other state government. So I think that revenue is not an issue, I suppose, and the funds can always be raised. Yeah.
No, see, let's be honest about one thing. Agreed that the city of Mumbai, poses challenges that no other city poses, but it also raises that kind of money, which is why the BMC needs to be. If you're going to manage the city, you need to be in a position to manage the city. On one hand, you don't have a development plan that we've been waiting for now nearly 3 years. You have now stopped all new construction. Manisha, I'm going to put this very plainly. It just seems like we've limited. Both these moves are moving towards limiting supply of fresh homes. When you limit supply of fresh homes, you increase prices of homes, and that plays into the hands of the real estate industry. Is there a vested interest here? Are we still looking at the possibility of a nexus between the real estate industry and the politicians?
No, I don't think so. It's true. Because let me tell you, the problem is humongous. And it is the problem of collection of the waste and of its disposal. A system has to be developed, and I think that of course the High Court has passed an order, and commenting anything against it would not be right, but it of course wants to teach sort of a lesson to the bureaucrats and to us as politicians that okay, now you have to act. But
did it have to come to this point, Manisha?
No, of course the BMC is developing a system. There is a system already. The only thing is that the amount of garbage is humongous, and that becomes difficult, segregation at the waste and even its disposal. So I think it is just handling of the solid waste that is causing a problem, and of course people's participation is very important in this.
All right, let me bring in Pankaj
Kapoor.
Pankaj, you have studied cities across the world, obviously. Cities of the size of Mumbai, some of them may be smaller, some of them may be larger, which all manage their garbage. What are we doing wrong? Why is it that we need to come up with, rocket science of solutions for the city of Mumbai? Are there any globally accepted, solutions that we can adapt?
I think the intent has never been there. So I remember one of the politicians once upon a time in their speech, they said that we collect so many tons of garbage, and Mumbaikar, be happy. That's my work done.
All right,
no one really bothered about
I agree. There has not been an intention. The political will to find a solution did not exist. Raees Sheikh is on the phone line right now. Raees Sheikh, here's my question to you. We've reached a point where the High Court had to rap the BMC on the knuckles like a naughty child and said, until you can find a solution, no more buildings in the city of Mumbai. It seems to me that there's a sense of irresponsibility, or there is a builder-politician nexus that has brought us to a point where supply is being stopped in order to increase prices. Which of the two is really happening?
See, I wouldn't like to speculate. First of all, when you said there is no political will, I agree to that. Since 20 years, we've not been able to provide a vision to the city and solve the solid waste management problem. Courts have rightly picked up and penalized BMC. The situation is very grim. The dumping grounds are completely full. We're dumping unscientifically. There's methane inside the dumping grounds, and situation is bad. Now, what should we do? In the last 2 months, me, along with my colleagues, have tried to contact IIT and NERI, and we've tried to facilitate the bureaucracy with all the information the technical inputs that they need. But unfortunately, East to do business has been restricted to only commercial circulars which help builders. East to do business has not trickled down in departments which are connected to development of the city. So there's so much bureaucracy. I have attended at least 20 meetings.
So you agree that there's a lack of political will, Rais?
Political vision and will is lacking, that's clear, and I'm sure the Shiv Sena and BJP will be penalized by Mumbai in the coming election. But beyond that, even the bureaucracy needs to do things faster.
So, okay, okay, Rais, this is the next question. Here we are looking at a BMC that has not released a development plan for the city. Mumbai has been waiting for a development plan for 3 years. We've had 3 extensions on it. We still haven't seen a development plan. No construction can happen without a DP anyway. On one hand, there's no plan. On the other hand, now we've stalled all construction. It seems like there's a vested interest here.
Vested interest or no, I don't know. As I said, I don't want to speculate. But yes, on development plan, we've been following up. And now 80% of the GP actually informally has been released and is on the website. Out of the GCR, two chapters have been released and now 9 chapters are waiting. I am personally on every weekly basis following up with the commissioner on this. DP, we need a DP. We need a DP which is ongoing. The development plan should be implemented. All these mechanisms should be put in place. And if you're asking me that there is a developer nexus, it's quite speculative. I mean,
okay, Manisha Gandhi, respond to this. Respond to the fact that Rais Sheikh says there's a lack of political will and the city of Mumbai will penalize the Shiv Sena in the coming elections because enough is enough.
Well, it's not true. I think Rais is being very optimistic regarding his own party. But let me tell you that leave aside the elections. What people want is that they want a cleaner city. See, earlier people didn't have a cleaner city. Now the city is cleaned. I think the situation is much better than what it was previously. Now the question is of segregation of the waste at the where it is produced. That is where we have to implement. And of course, regarding the dumping ground, we see that there are so many factors associated with the local people, the local people who dump the waste, okay, the trucks which are emptied over there, and the contractors who are given. Of course, and we are, regarding the DP plan, I would like to say that we have to have a proper DP plan, and it was rejected. Because
it was rejected because it was full of errors.
Because it was full of errors. And of course, it is the mistake of the bureaucracy.
Yeah, it was rightfully rejected.
Yes, it was, of course. And therefore, even our party, we rejected it completely because there were several follies in it. And we are waiting for the proper DP plan to come. And of course, when the DP plan comes, definitely things will be set right. But I think that of course, political.
So you don't agree that the city will penalize the Shiv Sena in the next coming elections?
No, I don't think so, because people of Mumbai know, because of course the talk will be more political. That's why I'm trying to avoid it. But of course, if I have to answer the question,
please do.
The people of Mumbai have always voted for the Shiv Sena at the ground level, because Shiv Sena is the only party which has its a grassroots connection with the people. And it is a very prompt services. BMC has completely trying to upgrade itself. Whether the online facility, whether about paying the
even with this,
taxes,
Manisha, even
I
with
think
this
that
problem,
we are going very fast with it.
Even with this problem, even with this problem of the garbage, the only solution that the BMC has offered up till now is to move it further away and to dump it in Gorai or to dump it even further outside the city, which means 10 years down the line, we'll be in the same position again. We'll have a new Deonar maybe in Kalyan, Dombivli, or even further from there. That's not a viable solution.
It's not a viable
Why are we
solution.
falling short? And what I'm going to do also is respond to Manisha. There is a phone line that's open right now. Respond to Rais Sheikh. As citizens of Mumbai, if you believe that the BMC, the Shiv Sena has been doing a good enough job for you and you're happy citizens like Manisha says we are, pick up the phone and tell us if that's the truth. Rais Sheikh, respond to that the BMC has actually been doing its job and the citizens of Mumbai know so. You're a citizen.
She's spoken on segregation, Manisha has spoken. Now, societies in Dadar have segregated their waste. BMC in 1 year has not been able to come out with a policy. BMC is not able to provide vehicles separately for dry and wet waste.
Yeah, that's exactly what.
It's precarious. I mean, the situation is so bad. You're talking about city of Mumbai. You're talking about services. Look at what is happening. Every street, every mohalla has piles of garbage. Look at the trucks that collect garbage. You can't even pass your car from that truck. It is very difficult. See, I don't want to do politics, but yes, wake up. And the leadership is there in the BMC, the Shiv Sena's leadership, and the BJP's leadership. They're least bothered. Look at the pollution level. I've been fighting that every week you give the pollution level in Devanath.
Rais, let me tell you, see, what you are talking is only about the perception of just a few handful of people. Ask the larger section of the society, ask the people staying in the slums, ask the people staying in the small mohallas, ask the people staying in the PDT chawls, ask the people staying in the general chawls. Okay, see what it was earlier, definitely there is an improvement day by day. You can see it for yourselves that the roads are improving, that the garbage collection system has improved. Now you don't see those trucks, where the garbage is flying away. They are definitely, we are working towards it, and if we have improved it, as you compare to any other city in India, Mumbai is the best, and that's why people are coming here. Tell me, Rais, why so many people are coming to Mumbai? Why are they coming? Because it provides opportunity for all. Because it provides a shelter to all.
Mumbai is suffering because of you. The population in the last 20 years has only increased 3.6.
Okay, so we blame the other states for sending their population here?
Sir,
would you say that people coming from Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, all over India,
comes now.
They are coming here. Couldn't you provide them jobs over there? Couldn't you provide them
hang on, Manisha, I will step in here and I will tell you that according to the constitution of this country, we are allowed to live wherever we want and work wherever we want. I have moved from another state. I pay taxes. I should be given the services I want.
The huge amount of population doesn't pay tax in Mumbai.
This city is losing.
And of course, you have a right to profess anywhere, you have a right to live anywhere. But in a city of Mumbai, then should we talk of a work permit? That if you have a work permit, you come and stay here?
I don't think so. By constitution given
to the house.
Okay, let's throw it open to the house.
Should we have a work permit?
Ramesh Prabhu,
if you get a new job in the city,
the Constitution of India, Manisha Kayande allows me to live wherever I want to.
Yeah, definitely. Anywhere you can live. This is a free country. The Constitution gives a fundamental right.
Manisha, ask your question.
Let me ask you all a question. Okay, in many countries, okay, when you move to a city, you have to show where you're going to stay. You have to show whether you have a job.
Which country?
Many country? Are there.
No, name one country that makes its citizens prove their ability.
Why? New Zealand has had it. Australia has it.
When I move as a citizen of another country, as an immigrant.
No. I'm talking of other countries. I'm talking of other countries, not in our country. They have a work permit. Okay, here in Mumbai, everybody comes. We are not talking of that. But we are trying to this huge amount of population. We are trying to do the best.
But Manisha, this city runs on the people who move from other cities. This city runs on its population. Okay, everybody who comes here pays taxes. Everybody who comes here works. There's not a single person. When you say there are people who are not paying taxes, they're working day and night for the economics of this city.
How many people are paying taxes? How many people are paying taxes?
If you allow me,
Sandeep Ahuja.
I think Mumbai generates around 9,400 metric tons of waste every day, and this is as per the affidavit by the BMC. And New York City does around 25,000 metric tons a day. So I think it's not about the amount we're generating; it's about how are we really solving the problem.
No, but I want to go back. This has come up twice on the show right now, and I want to go back to this. Ramesh Prabhu, this is the question Manisha is asking. Should we insist on work permits?
No, absolutely no. How can it be? When the Constitution permits you to travel anywhere across the country.
I'm just giving an example.
How can you do this? It is not possible. So many people are coming, and it is a...
Ramesh Prabhu has moved from Udupi. Pankaj Kapoor, where have you come from?
No, I'm not saying it should be done. I'm saying that, in many countries it is there. Now,
I don't know
when you say you buy a vehicle, you show your parking place. Then people get agitated.
I have one more point of view. The city like Calcutta, which does not have any migration, is also crying because the economy is not growing. And the city which is generating good amount of migration, because of this economy is growing, and we are still really creating problem. And I said that why economy is growing, why people are coming and migrating inside.
We want this city to become a global city. We want it to become an IFC, an international finance center.
It's a magnet. That's what it is pulling.
And on the other side, we're saying we don't want people to move in here. Rais Sheikh, what's your response to that?
No, see, first of all, Manisha is trying to hide all the failures of Shiv Sena behind this one issue. I have brought some facts in front of you. Mumbai's population is just increasing by 3.6. It was 90s and 80s when the population really boomed and 20% was the increase. Today, nobody is coming. Bihar is progressing. You go to Lucknow, you go to UP, they're all developing.
Because of the
See,
higher
this
base.
is a non-issue. This is a non-issue. Talk about the real issues. Constitution has given freedom to everyone to come. We have freedom of employment. So if you want to change anything, get the numbers, get your people elected and send them to parliament and debate it over there. The core issue is about the failure of civic services, and it is Shiv Sena and BJP which is responsible. Today also they're not showing any leadership. Now the Chief Minister has spoken about Deonar being a time bomb in terms of the gases it has. Give us some solution. Show us the path. Don't talk about only the problem.
Show us the
IIT and
political
Navy-
will that you want
Well,
to
Rais
find
is
a
in the house,
solution.
and Rais, definitely you can offer solutions, because we
I
are
have,
definitely open
I
to
have,
solutions from all,
I have.
whether it's the opposition or whether it's the ruling party people.
I have given a complete presentation to the commissioner from IIT and NERI. Have the guts to accept. You have vested interest. You want tenders. You want people. You have given contract to UPL, which failed, and now again you want to get in companies who don't have experience. I'm saying go international, float an international tender, get the best brains in the world to come and work with us.
Respond to
all
that.
these
Is there a
all
vested
these
interest,
things-
Manisha Kayandi, is there a vested interest in the tenders that have been handed
See,
out for garbage management in the city?
We all know that there is a e-tendering system, and definitely there is much transparency. Definitely.
What do you mean by
it
the
was-
eat and drink system?
No, e-tendering is definitely the tenders are filled online, and a system is developed. So
Okay.
definitely, I will not tell you, cannot tell you the step-by-step process of it. Definitely, because I'm not into
This
it.
tender is
But
different. This tender needs international expertise. You need to go global for this.
Yes,
What
of
I'm
course,
saying-
global companies do come. Of course, they give presentations,
Create the
but there has to be a
environment. You make
viable
them-
solution.
you make these
and of
technical
course,
companies
the
go and
BMC
beg on-
is doing its best. I think it's
You
one of
are
the best
making
municipalities.
every tenderer,
and
every
the fact
tenderer
that
has
people
to go and
like to
beg
stay here is
in
because
your-
they are getting all
your-
the
your
services
mahal.
here.
All right, Ramesh Prabhu, who studies the local bodies very carefully. Ramesh Prabhu, do you believe there is a vested interest in the tenders that are being handed out on waste management in the city?
No, right now, because of the e-tendering and other things, I don't think there must be some transparency which has come because of the right to information and other things. The transparency has developed, but of course, there will be only close-knit people who will be applying, and only those people will be knowing. And in fact, in advance, certain informations are leaked. So maybe some nexus will be there, but it is very difficult to prove, I suppose, because of the various tendering process which is done.
No, I can prove it. You are putting
Okay.
restrictive conditions in the tender. You are saying that a company should have experience of 200 tons in India, which is only in Ahmedabad. You are putting conditions which are restrictive, and you don't expect Koreans and Germans to go on your bangla and give you presentations. You need international people with real technology to come and solve this problem. For that, you need to have a very open tender. You have to build the confidence of the international investor. Okay?
Amit Goenka, is there enough room within the system right now for international, expertise to come in and work with the BMC?
I think it's become inevitable, Faye. You know, we are investing, we are living, we are dreaming of Mumbai as an international destination. We're talking of this being the global hub for people to come work and live in India. But it is unfortunate because look at the cost that, we are bearing for no fault of ours. While we've invested or we stay put in a project, today when there is a stop work or there is no further approvals, we continue to pay assessment tax. We continue to pay maintenance. We continue to pay a number of other levies to the government. Why are we required to continue to pay levies till such time that the government is not able to give us further approvals to construct and finish our buildings, sell and get our monies back? But those levies haven't been suspended. Only further work and further development has been suspended. Likewise, if I'm a buyer, I am worse off. My investors and my buyers are worse off because now they're not sure as to when the new construction or when the construction will start, when the possession date will come. And now with the RERA also in mind, will the penalties that have been levied or could be levied also come into effect because I have given a certain possession date? Suddenly, it completely creates a chaos in the ecosystem of the development industry, which we have been investing in, such that we're trying to keep our costs low. We're trying to keep margins under check. We're trying to get our return back. We're trying to deliver these projects in time. Put enough pressure on the developers that if they don't deliver in time, there are severe financial penalties that we're levying on them.
Right.
But now we have no room to actually go back and tell them and levy these penalties, because this is in effect almost a force majeure event for the projects which have erupted. So on one hand, my buyers are affected. On the other hand, my capital is blocked. The other hand, the developer has no way to actually return the capital or even go ahead with the development. So it has become a real catch-22 situation for us to stay put in the city and put out more money. We have to actually now find ways how we can recover the investment that we've put in the city already.
Investors are worried, but the people who should be really worried are home buyers and citizens of the city of Mumbai, because if this continues, there will be a cap on supply. A cap on supply will lead to higher prices of homes in a market that's already rather unaffordable. This is the shocking information we bring to the city of Mumbai. The BMC has decided, based on a High Court judgment, that no new construction permits will be handed out in this city at all, bringing construction and fresh supply of homes to a grinding halt. Unless it's redevelopment or unless it is slum rehabilitation, all other construction comes to a stop. What this means is basically IODs and commencement certificates will not be handed out. Any building that has the two of these are okay, but especially pre-launches that have been done without IODs, without commencement certificates, what are those developers going to do now? Are they going to give that money back because they obviously don't have permissions to construct? Kaushik is on the phone line from Mumbai. He's a viewer who called us to add to something. Kaushik, go ahead. What's your question?
हेलो
Hello. Go ahead, Kaushik.
हेलो
Kaushik?
मुझे जानना था, मेरा बिल्डिंग रिडेवलपमेंट में गया हुआ है, अभी आपने जो न्यू कंस्ट्रक्शन है, तो अभी इसमें आगे प्रोसेस हो पाएगा कि नहीं, क्योंकि लास्ट 4 ईयर से मेरा एक चालू है प्रोजेक्ट।
नहीं, अगर आपकी बिल्डिंग रीडेवलपमेंट में गई है कौशिक जी, तो और पिछले 4 साल से चालू है प्रोजेक्ट, तो आपको आईओडी मिला होगा, और रीडेवलपमेंट की प्रोजेक्ट्स पे ये नया रूल अप्लाई नहीं होता।
नहीं, बिल्डर इज टेकन है 5 आईओडी, फर्स्ट 6 फ्लोर लिया हुआ है, अभी वापस 4 फ्लोर का एडिशनल लिया है, और वापस 4 फ्लोर का एडिशनल ले रहा है और टीडीआर करके।
देखिए, वो सीसी की बात होती है, वो सीसी अलग अलग स्टेजेस के ऊपर लेना होता है, बट मेरे ख्याल से जो अंडर कंस्ट्रक्शन बिल्डिंग है उसके ऊपर ये लागू नहीं होता, और रीडेवलपमेंट के ऊपर शायद ये वाला लागू नहीं है। अभी तक पूरी क्लैरिटी नहीं है, बट जो पढ़ने में आया है उसके हिसाब से रीडेवलपमेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स के ऊपर ये एप्लीकेबल नहीं होता है। तो आप कंटिन्यू कर सकते हैं, और आपको आईडी मिल चुका है, और सीसी भी कुछ हद तक अगर डेवलपर को मिल गया है तो इट्स अंडर कंस्ट्रक्शन प्रॉपर्टी, उस पर ये एप्लीकेबल नहीं होना चाहिए।
Okay, Kaushik, you have nothing to worry about. I'm going to bring in Sandeep Ahuja as a developer here. Sandeep, obviously, as per regulation, developers should not be selling unless they get their IODs and their CCs. But we know a lot of that happens in the market already. There's a lot of pre-launch sales that happen. As a developer yourself, what sort of impact will this sort of regulation have on prices of homes?
See, I think there is going to be an impact in terms of the new supply, which you just mentioned rightly so, will get impacted, and you will see very less fresh supply coming in. I will not comment on the nexus between builders and the politicians, but I will definitely say that there has been definitely an advantageous position provided to many developers who have already got approvals for a lot of their projects, and they have a lot of supply in the market.
So you're saying if there are builders right now who have their approvals and they're already begun constructing, this is actually something that plays into their hands, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So I think there are a lot of developers who are sitting on land fresh positions. They have already borrowed money and they have picked up lands. They are expecting approvals to happen in short time. And if the approvals are not given to them in a short time or a reasonable time, I think they are the ones who are actually impacted by this. Just imagine, for a fault which definitely these new developers are not have not committed.
Yes.
So High Court is actually, while the order is fair in terms of, there has to be some pressure has to be built on the BMC to make sure that the dumping problem is resolved. But, whose knuckles are you wrapping actually? Because it's not the fault of the developers who have not been able to really build a dumping or do something about the dumping problem. So I think it's a wrong solution to the right problem. So
wrong solution to the right problem, and of course it reeks of some sort of vested interest, given the fact that a developer with his permission already in hand who's begun construction is being put in a very, very good position. All other supply will be cut short, which means he was in a position over the next couple of years to increase his prices. Ramesh Prabhu, how many sales happen in the city of Mumbai right now without IODs in hand on a pre-launch phase?
I think at least 20 to 30% of the sales which take place as a pre-launch projects, because that is the way they pay for the landowners and other expenses. So without IOD and all, so I think 20 to 30% investors who buy at the around 30 to 40% discount, and that is how the pre-launching is happening, and they enter into an MOU or allotment letters. And there are so many projects, even the renowned builders also do pre-launching.
So tell me this, Ramesh, tell me this right now. Obviously, this is not the fault of the builder in question. It's not the fault of the buyer. And I'm particularly worried about buyers who gotten on the pre-launch phase. Who's going to compensate this loss? Is it going to have to be the BMC?
Naturally, it has to be done by the BMC, because BMC who has agreed even in the earlier as a consent term order that it will be completed by so and so date, and in spite of that it has not been done, and they are all sitting on other projects, and I think it's a BMC which has to be blamed, and the authorities which have to be blamed, who in spite of the court order having given a consent and having sufficient time, they have not been able to find out the solution, and there is, as we have discussed, there is no political will also.
Manisha, there's certainly a case here to demand that the BMC compensates at least home buyers who've gone out and bought homes that cannot now not be constructed. Is there a manner in which the BMC can maybe refund their money in some way or compensate them in some way for what is going to be a long and painful wait for home buyers?
No, I don't think so. It should be connected to the BMC giving the compensation. See, I think these are completely different issues.
No.
As I said again,
there's a series of events that played out.
Yes,
there's a series of events that played out. The court demanded an explanation which was not given.
The solution is completely not possible. Like you stop constructing a home because, see, it's a court order. If I say anything against, it would be, like I'm speaking against the court, and that it's not right. But tell me, that building is something different, building houses is something different, selling houses is something different, and garbage collection from a particular city is entirely a different thing. So it's just a question of garbage management that we have not yet, fully mastered it, I can say. I don't say that, okay, we are doing the best, but of course we are trying to develop a system, and there is a system, but it can't take the pressure.
So you're saying,
the only thing is that
fundamentally that the court order was unfair to the BMC?
Yes, of course. To a certain extent, it's definitely unfair.
Fair. I think there's you just mentioned earlier that the court has had to intervene now. I think the court had not intervened now. There was an order in 2012 and 13 as well, where BMC was instructed to get a new landfilling site because the existing two sites have already reached their capacity already long time back.
Yes.
So there was a time given to BMC to look for a site in 6 months or find a solution to this, but that was not done, and this is 2016 we are in. So I think there was sufficient time on hand to resolve this issue.
Manisha, 4 years not enough to find a solution?
See, all the land doesn't belong to the BMC. Some plots belong to the collector, some plots is the government has to allot. We have to get land from the government also for the dumping ground or the waste processing. Of course, I don't say, that we have done the best job, but of course the system has to develop. We have to develop a system of segregation.
4 years?
See, the land we have to ask from the government. See, land comes from the government.
But the BJP is your ally right now as a state government. Let's be honest. If you're talking about this, let's be honest. It shouldn't be this difficult.
Has come just 1 year. Before that, it was the Congress NCP government. The BJP government has come just 1 year now. And definitely the Chief Minister has also taken keen interest in this issue. And of course, a system will be developed, and we are trying our level best to do it.
Sandeep Ahuja.
The Deona dumping yard was actually started or commenced in 1927, and Mulund started in 1967. So I think we have not been able to really figure out a solution for a very long time. It's not about the present government, or it's not about, I think it's about a very long time. We have absolutely ignored this system, the whole thing. There's no scientific, way of disposal of the dumping. I think it's a very long time we have not been able to do this. So it's not only a short time. It's not only 2012 or 13. It's like 56 years.
Which the government has conceded that it has been encroached upon, and only now that they are agreeing to remove the encroachments. They have never not even thought of actually clearing that site and using it, which they had actually agreed and put an affidavit that they will actually start using newer sites. So clearly the intent is not there.
Pankaj Kapoor, does it make sense for aggrieved buyers at this point to take the BMC to court?
I think High Court has to think about the impact. Yeah, exactly. I am not really able to understand the arithmetic of the overall decisions. There are 12 million population which is already generating the garbage on daily basis. It is going to be generating again and continuously on everyday basis. The new supply, if you consider, is like in a year we add probably 10,000 homes in Mumbai. And out of 10,000, 80%, 85% is redevelopment. You think about it, it's 1,000 close to, and 5 people, if they live in that, it's a 5,000 people. So why we are stopping those, creating a problem for the city, which is, frankly speaking, related to only 5,000 people. The problem is of 1.2 crore people. And you cannot solve that problem. You have to look at in that perspective. How can you solve the problem of stopping the construction? It is going to create bigger problem with the urban economics. Think about the prices have gone up. We are talking one side of the housing for all. We are talking about a new budget. We are talking about RERA. We are bringing all the kind of efficiency in the system. And then High Court coming forward and saying that I am stopping the construction on certain section. That certain section is going to create a havoc in the overall market. It will give some, which we discuss here, the speculators, certain developer will start speculating using this thing. So High Court has to rethink, I believe.
The High Court has to rethink it.
I agree with Sandeep. I think Sandeep was saying that we didn't develop, what the BMC didn't do was develop a scientific way of disposing this waste. That is where we lack.
I think
Definitely, I agree.
even now, Manisha, the point is that if we're still talking about fresh dumping grounds, if we're still talking about dumping at all, we're missing the point. What we need to be talking about is about managing, educating citizens, bringing down the garbage. I will tell you, in the building that we live in, we segregate our garbage, and then when we hand it over, somebody mixes it right in front of us.
Exactly.
There's a defeated purpose there, obviously.
Definitely.
We're not able to think past the mess that we are creating at every street corner. Let's not even get into the garbage that is being dumped into the river and into the ocean. The fact is that as a city, we're not looking past our noses right now. There's complete short-sightedness in the way we're managing this problem. Where are we missing the point?
No, definitely I agree to you, but we have to involve the citizens in this movement also, because it cannot be just a BMC problem. It has to be a movement. Segregation, segregation of waste. How many people do? It's only a few educated people or those who think from the point of terms of environment, saving the, we are only a few people are thinking of that. There's a huge mass of people who doesn't know what it is. The ones living in the slum, those who have maximum, so we have to, start from teaching them.
So why haven't we done that so far?
It has to be a people's movement. It just can't, we just can't leave it on the officers and the BMC and the bureaucrats and the garbage. We have to develop our own methods in our society. See how many societies are, producing organic waste. Like from their organic, the kitchen waste, what you call. So, this has to be a mass movement. It cannot be a movement of just a few societies.
People like you and me who are already struggling to buy homes in the city because homes are completely out of reach. What will this do to the prices of homes? Amit Goenka, I know that you're part of the Association of NAREDCO, which is an association of developers that had a meeting on this decision. What will this do to the price of homes, and what has NAREDCO decided to do in reaction?
Well, I'm not necessarily speaking for any industry body, and I'm sure the developers will try and become an intervening party to this entire episode and try and also present their point of view, because obviously it's going to affect the industry at large in a very, very big way. And not just one association, but I'm told multiple associations are actually planning or have already moved forward to become an intervening party to this entire episode.
What was discussed? What will the impact be?
At the end of the day, whatever measures are being taken are already very, very short term. So even if I'm a redevelopment project which has got approvals for any further construction approvals or for further CCs, we need to provide an undertaking that these with an understanding that these approvals are temporary in nature and that they could be rolled back.
So what you're saying basically is the BMC has informed developers who already got their approvals that any further approvals have to be taken at a temporary nature, which means that they can be pulled back at any point?
Absolutely. So it's an undertaking, and which is obviously linked to the outcome of the High Court judgment, which means that even if I do go ahead, I go through the entire rigmarole of trying to get further approvals for a project which is again, linked to lives of several hundred people who have moved out, are hoping for the new homes to come up.
But this fundamentally boils down to one thing, Sandeep Ahuja, when you have to sign an undertaking like that, saying the permission that's been handed to you is temporary and can be taken back at any point, there's a risk involved there that obviously you have to price in. What does that do to the price of the home that you're building?
See, this is exactly the challenge. If in case we are absolutely fine, and I think we also discussed in various bodies of developers that we are okay to be penalized by for all the acts or wrong acts which we do, but we should not be penalized for something which we are not having any control on. So if in case we're given an approval which is temporary in nature, like you said, and if it's revoked over time, then how do we really make a commitment to the home buyer? And therefore, it has to be, therefore what happens is that people who have got the approvals already some time back, they price in, and there are artificial, increase in prices done in those projects.
So prices of homes will actually go up. Pankaj Kapoor, we're not talking about making ice cream here. We're talking about making homes.
Yeah.
How can you hand out a temporary approval on something as permanent as a home?
Absolutely. And think about it, it's a very big urban problem. And Mumbai is probably the biggest sufferer. So we have 50% of population living in slums. And why they are living in slums? Because they could not afford the houses. And in past also, we choked the land supply. So, if you are choking the land supply, you're giving rise to the prices, and that is increasing the gap between people's affordability, and as such people can't afford, the average person can't afford to live in Mumbai. Only thing is today is because of the government's initiative of Housing for All and the initiative they are bringing, we see good inventory, good supply coming in, that was helping prices getting moderated.
But so far we've only heard announcements, Pankaj, let's be honest.
No, my own senses, but today one good thing about the market is like we have a highest ever inventory. In past, we never had so much of supply to sell.
If we don't have a DP plan and if this ban is not lifted, then that situation will change quite drastically.
No, I agree. DP plan should have come 2 years back. Why it has not come? That's again a problem. So there is a systematic problem which spoils the urban economics, and that's at the end of it, it gives rise to the speculation.
I think there has not been, if you see, there has not been even a period of 5 years of uninterrupted policy, or a policy which has stood up for 5 years.
Completely
and there's no interruption at all, neither from the court or from. So I think the Bombay supply has always been marred by one or the other, either court.
Disruptive and volatile policy.
Yeah.
So
Manisha, disruptive and volatile policy that keeps the prices of homes in the city constantly beyond reach.
Yeah.
Respond to that.
Well, definitely there are many things to this. It's not just one factor that you can point out that it's because of this or that. But definitely the problem of housing in Mumbai is very, very complex because of the huge amount of slums that we have, the huge amount of people that we have. And there are so many factors, there are so many parties. And of course, with everybody's interest in it and with every, like people going to the courts, people going and stalling a process. So definitely the process gets more complex and it gets lengthy, there are so many interruptions in it. And therefore, a particular policy that comes doesn't last. And therefore, I think that this problem has to be addressed in a huge manner.
I want to bring in Ramesh.
It's not just
Ramesh
one or two
has
points.
been studying the activity in the local government for a very long time. Ramesh, respond to that. Yeah. If there hasn't been 5 straight years of steady regulation, if there's constantly been decisions being made that kept the prices high, is there something wrong in the way the city is being planned? Is there a vested interest to keep prices high in this city?
It is certainly, because a lot of policies, every 6 months we will find some of the new GR is coming, now certain new things are happening, and either there is a TDR loading issues or the FSI is getting increased, and then road widening, and now DP. So every time some or the other changes are happening, so the cooperative housing societies or the people who are looking for redevelopment, they are not able to take the decisions. The buildings, again, development starts and then stalls. So I think the volatile or the changes in the policy is which is really making, the reconstruction in Mumbai is difficult.
Faye, just want to add is like if the government's perspective will always, if it is like a monetizations of their land bank, you would never have a policy which are efficient policy for the city. And that has been the problem of India and problem of Mumbai. So far, if you look at my government bodies are the one who sets the prices of the land. So if you look at whether that's SIDCO or
that
MMR.
Since the government is hoping to raise money from selling its own land, it's within, that's the vested interest to keep the prices high? That's the vested interest.
So if you look at before the NTC mill land sales, so we had TDR corridor and forest land issue came in. And what happened because of that? You choked the completely flow of the supply and you pumped in the money, the FDI money, and jacked up the prices in the market. So if you go back and see that, then that's where I see that, if I see the ants meeting, I see the only beneficiary was government. But it has spoiled the urban economics. You see that today we have high inventories and hardly any buyers. So 2005, we were selling 60,000 homes in Mumbai with the inventory holding up around 65,000 units. Today, I have 40,000 unit getting sold today. Against my inventory is 2 lakh.
Sure. You know, Manisha, on one hand, there is a central government and a state government that's making announcement after announcement about building homes for every Indian. On the other hand, I have an entire panel of guests here who agree that government policy has gone against that sort of a belief in this state for a very long time. And the city of Mumbai, particularly that volatile government policy has kept the prices of homes high.
Absolutely.
Respond to that.
What you say is right to a certain extent, because in Maharashtra we had a government, a Congress government before. Now we have the BJP and the Shiv Sena government, and the government does come out with different policies, because pertaining to Mumbai, there are different, like there was a forest land, there's a collector land, there is a Gauthan. So the problems are different. It's not just one type of land that we have. And therefore, the policies keep changing, new policies come up, and of course, that disturbs the whole economy. But this is because of the geography of Mumbai. I mean, you can't always blame the government, and of course, to a certain extent, I wouldn't be, like there is no nexus. Of course, there are problems, and there are vested interests everywhere, same with our city also. But I think the problem of Mumbai is very, very unique. And therefore, to come about to one particular solution doesn't help with it.
My concern is that we can just get away and saying that there's been excess. So what? But very important aspects is that what it is doing to this city and the country. It's like
I think
big
it's
economic
very simple.
imbalance.
I think it's been a one-way street so far, as far as the city of Mumbai is concerned, because there was some article about what the actual approval cost is, whether it's on paper or not. Having said that, there are now number of charges that the BMC continues to collect. Very surprisingly, the property tax on an under-development project is actually 3 times that of a finished product. It's saying that the grain is 3 times more expensive than the finished, biryani that you're going to eat. Having said that, also there are open deficiency premium. There's no logic for an open deficiency premium, which is a humongous amount. So on every step, the collection of the BMC is so large, but there is no corresponding infrastructure
there's no
on the site.
All right. There's a high level of taxes that are being levied on the entire construction sector, but we are not seeing the infrastructure come up on the side. And it does seem that government policy or volatile government policy is driving up prices. A decision like no new constructions in the city of Mumbai looks like it's playing into the hands of certain developers who already have permissions. Absolutely. There seems to be something fundamentally wrong with the way we're running this city. And on this channel, we're going to continue to demand solutions and answers from our government. But we've run out of time on the show this evening. I'd like to thank our panelists for joining us on the show. If you're watching at home and you want to join the conversation about the garbage issue in Mumbai, feel free to get in touch with us. Our contact details will be on your screen. In the meantime, the city of Bangalore is drowning in garbage as well. We're going to make the authorities accountable in Bangalore. Why is there garbage piling up in the street corners of Bangalore? Why is that not being cleaned up? Why are our cities in such a colossal mess? Send us photographs from your street corner, #BleedingBangalore. Send us pictures and we'll make you part of that show and have your voice heard. That's a wrap on this edition of the Urban Debate on Magic Bricks Now. Thanks for watching.
You can watch live TV on our website mbnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/magicbricksnow. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magic Bricks Now. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/magicbricksnow.